So like hearing you talk about, kind of the way that you approach nutrition throughout your day, it sounds like you're having lighter meals, if you even want to call them meals, just like things to provide nutrients to you, and then really, going hard later on in the day and having one big meal. When is that because like you're kind of priming your digestive system later on in the day?
So it breaks a lot of metabolic research, to be clear. So, the metabolic research gold standard would be that you eat your largest meal first thing in the morning, and we're starting to learn so much overriding, intermittent fasting, especially for women. So women and men are very different, and that's its whole other scenario as far as our biochemistry. Women are cyclical on a 28-day cycle, men are stagnant. So women have a lot of stuff going on throughout every month, fluctuations in testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, follicular stimulating hormone, luteal hormone, and men are just same. Like, so that's a totally different beast when we're talking about research that works for men's bodies versus women's. And I think there's been a faux pas in the world of like intermittent fasting where a lot of women fell victim into some of the research that was showing benefits of autophagy or mTOR and all these great geeky things, but throwing off then their leptin, having hormonal dysregulation, their body feeling in a fight or flight surge. And so the best way to metabolically eat, I believe in research for men and women, is to, eat like a king, feast in the morning, and then to slowly kind of end your day like a pauper. And so ideally, really, instead of most people out here are probably 16 eating where they're not eating till noon, they're fasting on that like, maybe fat fueled coffee or just tea or just water, breaking their fast at noon and cutting off at 8 p.m. and rinsing and repeating. The ideal circadian metabolic approach would be eating your largest meal within an hour of rise. So maybe that's like 7:30 a.m. and then having a moderate sized meal around noon and cutting off around 4 p.m. And that 4 p.m. meal being maybe a lighter option. Like maybe this is bone broth with skirt steak, and maybe we're using like kelp noodles in there, and some other non-starchy veg. And so maybe it's the 450, 500 cal, but again, lower, easier to assimilate. That's circadian metabolic research as far as how insulin response shifts, as far as how our body best metabolizes. It's most metabolically active in the morning, and then you're burning less calorie through the evening. With that being said, there's always this n equals one, right? And so for me, I know again that I try to harness that parasympathetic space by getting that sunlight first thing in the morning. Then my daughter plays Taylor Swift for 30 minutes in the car when I take her to school, and it's a little different vibe, right? And then I'm like, okay, let's go. And then I have to reharness, recalibrate. And we do know that when we're in a sympathetic nervous system fight or flight surge, that we only make a quarter of the amount of digestive enzymes, and we only, and so that's huge. And then we don't have as much gut microbiome activity when we're stressed. We get more of sterility impact. And so, again, for me, I shift versus ideal circadian rhythm. For me, I go based on the stress flow of my day. And so, for me to have my largest meal in the evening, I am sitting at the table. We've said a prayer. We're talking about our day. I'm super present. Hopefully, we're outside, and that is when I'm going to actually be at my peak nutritional absorption state versus this kind of go, go, go flow. So, as far as workouts go, you could time your workout to be a little bit more spaced based on intake. But that would be the first thing I'd consider is if you're in a stressed mode, you might need the support of a digestive enzyme so that you don't feel that stagnation or that bloat or that heaviness. Or you might need to think of easier to digest food. So, for instance, something like salmon or eggs or a ground meat patty versus something like a steak, which has a lot more mechanical work to do, would be something that we'd consider again based on where our day flows with stress as well as physiological demand.